Hey guys, so I am back with Sector 3 of this Conquest where we're trying to get the Fury Interceptor as quickly as possible. Hopefully in 3 Conquests we can get Red Crate, and it is looking extremely doable. So I'm just going to go over the feats as per usual for Sector 3 specifically, and then I will hop in and show you some of the teams that I'm using and kind of go over some of the best ways, in my opinion, to try to get those feats. Sector 3 so far looks like it's probably going to be the easiest, so we'll just look at the feats and I'll explain why. Okay, so here they are. It's very, very straightforward. You need to defeat 50 enemies with droid units. I mean, it doesn't get much more straightforward than that. Gain momentum 1,000 times. So this is with the Tuskens and Dad Bod Boba if you have him. I'm personally doing a full Tusken squad, and I'll show you it. It is extremely easy. The one thing I will say, because I'm seeing a lot of this floating around on Discord servers, you don't need the Zeta on Tusken Chieftain's leadership here. I don't have it, and it's working perfectly fine. Professor X does have it, so you'll see a little bit of both later on in the video. But you don't need it. The Zeta on his leadership inflicts stun on the enemy team, so it does make winning the battle a lot more achievable in a way, especially if you're lower gear. But in terms, if you're just going after gaining momentum and you don't care about the global feat that you need to win with them 20 times, you don't need it. So if you are Zeta poor, don't worry about it. Attempt to inflict Purge 300 times. Very straightforward. We've seen this feat all over the place. And then gain Foresight 60 times. Again, super straightforward. So let's have a look at the teams that I've used and we will hop in. All right, so let's start off with Purge because I think that is probably one of the ones people are most interested in. So you can see here on my first node, I have a Jedi node, Grandmaster Yoda lead, and I want to show you specifically teams that aren't full Inquisitor teams. So obviously, if you have Grand Inquisitor, if you have Reva, you're 100% going to use them. It's going to make it the easiest. But what you want to do here is use Ninth Sister lead, especially if you're going against a Jedi team that gains turn meter, because with her leadership, she can inflict Purge on the enemy team whenever they gain bonus turn meter. So you basically just care about her leadership. You want a tank. I, again, like using Jedi Master Luke. Watt to force the taunt. And then I just take Armorer for giggles. And you don't really need a fifth. You can take a fifth, but you don't really need it. If you wanted to, you could take another Inquisitor. So basically, you're just going to put the tank tech onto Jedi Master Luke or whichever tank you're taking with you so that they force the taunt and all of the attacks get directed that way. It doesn't matter if Ninth Sister dies. So if you have a weak Ninth Sister, it's totally fine. As long as you have the leadership activated, you are good to go. And essentially, you just kind of go through the motions here. So I'll speed this up so that you can have a look at it. There really isn't anything fancy to it. They're just putting Purge on themselves. With Ninth Sister, you do want a basic with her if you can, because her basic does imply Purge, so you can get a little bit more that way. And if for whatever reason you are at 6 stacks of Purge on the enemy, the target enemy, you could use her first special to dispel the Purge. That way you can keep adding it. But again, you're just kind of going through the motions. Sometimes you will win, as you can see in this case. Sometimes you don't. Usually I will either lose or time out with this, but for whatever reason, we're just having a great time. So you can see it's done. We've 3-starred it, so at least we're moving forward, and we've gotten a little bit of Purge. So if this is your only option, it is an option for you to get Purge that way. And you can have a look here. We got 22 in a battle, so it's not the best. You will obviously get more if you remove your discs. Okay, so another one, you can see I'm up to 97 now. This is another team that I would do. It works really well against Padme. So if you find a Padme node, I would recommend doing that. What you will need to do, and I realized this right before I went in, is remove your data discs. You don't want to cause any damage to them. So I'm taking off all of my Amplify Agni, Zealous Ambition, etc. You only want Volatile Accelerator on. And the only reason you want that disc on in particular is because it puts out debuffs on the enemy team. You're putting out dots. and we are going to take Palpatine lead, and that is going to feed turn meter to our Empire units, which are our Inquisitors. And we're just going to have a turn meter led or turn meter fed time here basically against the Padme team. And because we've taken off our damage dealing discs, our battle is going to last a lot longer. Usually you can time out on it, and you'll be able to get significantly more purge. So you want Palpatine lead, like I mentioned. I take crew as my tank here, as my pre-taunting tank. Very important that you want a pre-taunting one just in case they take a turn before you go. And you're just going to take 9th, 7th, and 5th. And if you use 7th middle ability on whichever enemy has the most buffs, you will convert all of those buffs to purge. So you'll already be out the gate getting more purge that way. But so you can see I've sped this up because it is quite a long battle. Because I've taken off those damage dealing discs, you can see we're really not chewing through them. And you've seen my Inquisitors are Relic 7 for the Reva mission. So they are very well geared, and we're clearly not doing a lot of damage because of Padme lead. So you're really focusing a lot on Kenobi. If you can get the taunt off of him, you can kind of spread the purge around otherwise. But 5th brother is going to AoE whenever you can and spread purge. 7th is going to assist every single time. And 9th sister is going to be able to apply purge with the basic, but also dispel those 6 stacks whenever you can. And make your way around the enemy team that way. So again, you can see we're not really chewing through them. Thankfully, that's because of Padme lead. So if you can avoid hitting her, all the better. If you can keep her alive, she's going to keep all that protection up on them. And you can see even with the modifier that they have, I'm also not dying. We're just kind of hanging out here and hitting them and getting purged this way. So again, this is definitely what I would recommend doing if you don't have a full Inquisitor squad. If you do have a full Inquisitor squad, then I highly recommend just going ham on some Jedi teams. But if you don't, or if they're weaker and you don't think they're going to survive long enough to get a good amount of purge in one go, then I would highly, highly recommend doing it this way. And you can see now, because Padme did die, we're doing way more damage. The protection up's gone. Her leadership ability is gone. So we are going to win here. But we almost timed out. We only had 51 seconds left, and we got a good chunk of purge in anyway, even with getting the win. So I'll just show you. I had 97 before, and now we are at 175. So almost 100, whatever that is math-wise, like 80-ish. Which is a good chunk. Okay, guys, so here is momentum. We need to gain this 1,000 times, and we are going against this Carth team. So you saw before I went in here, I had 0 momentum. I haven't done this yet. You want Chieftain lead. This is my account, so I have 2 Tuskens that are at relics, and I have no Zetas on any of them. Again, I want to reiterate the fact that I have no Zetas. But you do want Chieftain in your leadership spot. And basically all that's happening here is when you go against an enemy team that gains bonus turn meter, you are gaining stacks of momentum. You probably aren't going to win if you don't have strong Tuskens or good data discs. And that's fine, because you don't need to win for this momentum feat. You just need to be gaining momentum, basically. If you do want to win for the 20 battles, then obviously all the more power to you. I personally am probably going to skip that feat, but I only really care about momentum. And you can see here, with every bonus turn, bonus attack Carth takes, we just gain more and more momentum. And this is in effect the whole time. Even though Chieftain has died, we're still just gaining momentum here. And we are eventually going to die, but that's fine. All I really care about is getting this feat done. So again, I had 0 before I hopped in. And you can see here, we're at 421 in one fight. So that was against Carth. I am going to show you it again. So still at 421. I just want to show you it on a different team. So this is against troopers now. So exact same squad going in, and we're still on my own account. But you are going to go in with your Tuskens again, chieftain lead. Exact same idea, because the Imperial troopers gain turn meter. They are going to feed you momentum every time they do it. So Carth teams are good here. Obviously, Imperial trooper teams are good. And Ewoks are a really good one as well. So any of those three, I would recommend just throwing your Tuskens in against, even if you are going to lose. And you're going to get hundreds of momentum in the process. So you're really only going to have to worry about this feat for a couple of battles. And you'll get your points and be on your way. So again, that is done against troopers. We had 421, and I believe we will be at 700-ish. Yeah, 722. So we got just over 300 there. All right, so now we have droid kills coming up. You can see I had 0 so far, and I personally absolutely love using Grievous for droid kills, especially since they can be any droid, not non-separatists. This is very, very straightforward. Grievous teams just tend to walk through Conquest really nicely. So you're able to do this while you're making your way through the map, which is perfect through the sector. Really straightforward. You can see that they are getting all of the kills. You want to keep in mind that if you have Volatile Accelerator on, the dots could theoretically steal kills from you. But that's not the case here. And for whatever reason, you'll see I was credited 8. I don't know why. This is happening with Grievous teams, and I don't fully know why. I think there is a bug, but I would highly recommend taking advantage of it. So this is on the Professor. Sorry, that was on Professor X. This is on my own account here. So I had 7 going in, and just as a alternative, if you don't have a Grievous droid team, you could do something like Jedi Training Rey with the droids. So you take the Resistance droids here and add Chupio, and this will get you a few more kills as well. Obviously, being mindful of the fact that Rey could steal the kills from your droids if it is her turn and she can only do an attack. But obviously, R2's able to get a bunch of them because of Zealous Ambition discs, since he is a support character, and you can just use C-3PO to call as many assists as possible. And with Rey, I'm trying to target characters that have a lot of health and protection, so she doesn't steal as many kills. But she does gain a lot of turn meter here, so she is going to take quite a fair amount of turns, and she will steal a couple of them. But again, it is an option, especially if you're really trying to conserve your stamina and cycle through your teams while you make your way through the sector. At least you can still be working on some more droid kills at the same time and not necessarily having to double back in that regard. So pretty straightforward. Again, I had 7 here before we started, and I believe this one was 3 droid kills. Yeah, so we're sitting at 10. So again, super, super straightforward. Okay, guys, so let's have a look at Foresight now. We need to gain it 60 times, and I had 0 going into this. The best thing you could do, in my opinion, is just use a Jedi squad. You obviously can do something like Qui-Gon lead. I just prefer Jedi Master Luke so that I can ensure that I'm making my way through the sector at the same time. So this way, again, I don't have to double back. I don't have to worry about farming this later on because it is a pretty straightforward feat to get. I do want to take Grandmaster Yoda because he obviously can spread Foresight around. Hermit Yoda can spread Foresight around. And I just want to try and delay the battle as long as possible. So I'm going to try to heal whenever I can and just do non-attack type moves whenever I can. So you'll see here, I'm calling the assists and not necessarily using Jedi Master Luke's leadership ability where they would theoretically do a ton of damage and kill those characters. But we're spreading the Foresight around with Grandmaster Yoda's special, and also Hermit Yoda's second special is going to give you Foresight as well, which is why I added him to this team. And you can kind of just make your way through, like I said, win the battle, and then gain a ton of Foresight in the process, especially if you are doing everything you can to extend the battle for as long as possible and get many more Foresights out there. So again, we had 0 going into this. We're making our way through, and we should have gone close to 30, 31. So you would be able to do this theoretically in 2 fights and again, make your way through. Okay, so here is the Sector 3 mini boss. And we're going to be able to do both feats in one fight. So it's no Jedi, Sith, and unaligned Force users as usual. And then you also need to win with Dad Bod, Boba surviving. So Bam, Han, Chewie, absolutely love this with Dash. And I'm going to show you this specifically on the Professor X account because his Dad Bod, Boba, as you can see way, way, way down here, is only gear 3. So this, I'm going to emphasize, is the great thing about having Volatile Accelerator with a couple of Amplify Agony discs. So we have 1 Volatile Accelerator disc equipped, 2 Amplify Agony, and I do have 2 Zealous Ambition discs equipped as well here. But it's other than that, it really is Amplify Agony that and Volatile Accelerator. You can see they didn't even get to go. We just fed ourselves so much turn meter. So if you have that disc set up, it will 100% work for you. And then you have the boss. I cannot show you it with Dr. Aphra surviving because I don't have her. But I would recommend doing the exact same team that I am about to show you right now, just subbing her in as the 5th. So basically the exact same team here. We need to win without a Galactic Legend, which is really the no Jedi, Sith, unaligned Force users. And then Aphra would be the 5th here. I'm going to take a 5th light side scoundrel so that I can keep passing around damage immunity from Beskar Mando there. The downside here with Aphra is that she's dark side, so you will not be able to pass around damage immunity to her from Bam, but theoretically, if you have the Volatile Accelerator Amplify Agony disc set up, it should be the same. Important thing to note with this boss is it has a modifier here that when Grievous takes a turn, he's going to mark one of his allies. And every time you kill a marked ally, he then takes their stats and adds them to himself. So he gets thicker and thicker as the battle goes on if you don't get rid of him. So you can see, though, with the disc setup, we're able to just kill him before everyone else and 3-star the node and not have to worry about it. So again, I would just sub Aphra in for the 5th slot there. And that's it, guys. Okay, guys, so that's Sector 3. Super straightforward. I honestly think this might be the easiest sector so far. And it is very, very achievable to get done. This sector was it's very easy to finish pretty much all of the feats before you're even done the sector, to be completely honest with you, depending on, again, how your roster is built and what kind of teams you're going in with and using, but totally achievable. And then you can power through sectors 4 and 5. Okay, I will be back tomorrow with sector 4 and we will be almost done and well on our way to max crate.